I call the meeting of the San Juan Unified School District Board of Education to order. There is one closed session item on today's agenda. Collective bargaining matters, discussion with negotiator Daniel Thigpen, Executive Director, Labor Relations and Government Affairs regarding CSEA Chapter 127, General Operations Support. Chauffeurs and Teamsters Local Number 150, Transportation Supervisors, teachers and certificated supervisory units, and regarding non-represented groups, management and confidential units, Government Code Section 54957.6. We do not have any visitor comment cards on the closed session agenda items. We are going to move to closed session. Thank you. I call the meeting of the San Juan Unified School District Board of Education back to order. The meeting is being audio and video recorded, and the recording may capture sounds and images of those attending this meeting. The recording will be posted on the district's website. Board meetings are being held in person in the boardroom at the district office, and the community is welcome to attend. The meeting may also be viewed on the district's YouTube channel, where it is being live streamed. Individuals who are attending the meeting in person and would like to offer a public comment, we ask that you complete a speaker request card available at the staff table, and you will be called on at the appropriate time during the agenda. Please note that the board bylaw 9323 limits visitor comments to 2 minutes per speaker, with no more than 30 minutes per single topic. Time will be extended for any speaker who uses an interpreter. Please note that public comments, including your name, become part of the public record. Please stand for the presentation of the colors by the Del Campo High School Air Force Junior ROTC.
Others. Over. Arch. Others. Arch. Other arch. Oh. Hey. And others. Please follow me. Pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Every others. 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 Arch.
Good evening and welcome. I am Pam Costa, Board Vice President. To my left is Mr. Ben Avey, Ms. Paula Villasquez, Ms. Tanya Kravchuk, and Mr. Saul Hernandez, board members. To my right is Superintendent Melissa Bassinelli, and to her right is Board Administrative Assistant Stephanie Cunningham. Board President Zima Creason sends her great regrets for not being here tonight. She is absent due to COVID. It is with great sadness that we share the passing of the San Juan Unified School District Board of Education member and clerk, Steve Miller. Steve was elected to the board last November, becoming the first to represent Trustee Area 7, covering most of Citrus Heights. Prior to serving on the board, Steve served multiple terms as a city councilman in Citrus Heights, as a member of the board and board chair for the Sacramento Regional Transit District, and held a professional career in the construction industry. He is survived by his wife and 2 children, one of whom is a teacher in the district. It is difficult when we lose a member of our community. And though Steve was new to the Board of Education, the absence of his warmth and impact will be deeply felt. Please join me in a moment of silence to honor and remember Steve Miller. Thank you. And we would like to extend our condolences to his family. And at this point, we will continue with our business meeting. We are now at item D, approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes for March 14th?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Avey and seconded by Mr. Hernandez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That was unanimous. We are at item E1, High School Student Council Reports. Tonight, we will hear from student representatives from Mesa Verde High School and Del Campo High School. We welcome and let's begin with Jordan Saltonstall and Isabella Villarreal from Mesa Verde.
Good evening, President Creason, members of the board, Superintendent Bassanelli, and Ms. Cunningham. I'm Jordan Saltonstall.
And I'm Isabel Villarreal.
We are happy to be here on behalf of Mesa Verde High School. I'd like to start off by thanking the board for having us here tonight.
It seems like we were just here, but it also feels like it's been forever, and many changes have taken place since our last presentation. We are standing before a new board and superintendent. From the bottom of our hearts, we are thrilled you are here, and we extend a special welcome to you all as you settle into your new positions. We appreciate you wanting to advocate for our education.
We want to extend our deepest condolences to the board, the district, most importantly, the Miller family, for the unexpected and sudden loss of board member Miller. This loss impacts so many and hits home for the Maverick community. I hate that things like this serve as reminders that life is so precious.
This term, we have been busy with basketball games, soccer games, baseball games, and softball games. Baseball and softball have been able to use the fields on campus, which has been great for all of us amid the chaos of the construction. It's nice to have something going on the fields around here that feels normal. We are crossing our fingers that our sports complex and football field are done by October 13th, which is the date of homecoming next year. If there's anything in your power to help make that happen, we'll be eternally grateful.
Believe it or not, we're still feeling the effects of the shutdown and are continuing to work hard to rebuild our community. We have worked with outside organizations such as the Optimist and Rotary Clubs to help us revive things around here. On May 19th, we're having a student versus Citrus Heights Police Department basketball game. And Rotary is donating their time and supplies so we can have a barbecue fundraiser to benefit ASB and our senior send-off rally.
For Valentine's Day, we worked with our 4 EL classes to create multilingual conversation chart to spread love around campus. 7 languages were represented. We had games of Uno set up in the quad for the single students, a kissing booth where we gave out Hershey kisses to all the students, and a photo backdrop for all to use with their Valentines, Galentines, and Palentines. On St. Patrick's Day, a leprechaun paid a school a visit, leaving every student a 4-leaf clover with their name on it. This is a Mesa tradition that students and staff look forward to, and it's a really fun, festive day on campus.
The drama's spring production of WAC was interactive fun for everyone. Band and choir have been working on learning to play and sing Disney songs. We can't wait till their performance on Friday.
Also on Friday, all juniors and seniors will find out our official prom theme. The 3 theme options are Hollywood, Masquerade, and The Great Gatsby. sent out a digital voting ballot to pick out for our prom theme this year, and many are anticipating for our big reveal. Only our teacher knows what the results are, and she's not even hinting at what the winner could be. Prom is on May 13th, and many of us are excited to attend. Normally, we would just have a photo booth, but this year will be different, and we'll be renting a 360 camera.
Shortly after prom, it will be time to say goodbye to our seniors. We have our senior send-off rally, day on the green, senior breakfast, parade and cap and gown through Carriage Elementary School, senior sunset, and graduation. As a senior, I am so excited that this part of the year is almost here. It's bittersweet though, because there's so much that I'm leaving behind when I graduate. I've been presenting to this board for 2 years now, and this is my last time sitting in front of you in this capacity.
Don't worry, I'll be here next year.
For the last time, I would like to thank you all for your time.
If we don't see you, have a great spring break, end of the school year, and summer.
Do any board members have any questions or comments? Ms. Bracha?
Did you say students versus CHP or who are you?
Yeah. Citrus Heights Police Department.
Awesome. When is that?
That is on May 19th, and it's at 6 o'clock.
Write it down. Should be interesting. Thank you for your report. I just had the opportunity to visit your school last week, I think, and was just pleased to see all of the improvements and how hard you guys are working since COVID to bring back student engagement and parent engagement. And just very excited as an alum. I graduated. It'll be my 20th 20-year high school anniversary. How does that go? Reunion this June. Thank you. English second language. I always use that excuse. So it was really exciting, and your principal gave me a T-shirt, and I'm very grateful for that. I'll be sporting it next week or in 2 weeks, Ben. My Maverick Pride, but excited to hear about it. And I have one more question. What's a 360 camera?
So it's like, I guess like you stand in the middle, like on a platform, and a camera spin around.
Oh,
It's like a video. It's not like it's not pictures, it's just video, and like you can do slow motion, and it's a bunch of.
very neat. Awesome. That's exciting. Thanks for sharing. Congratulations and good luck with whatever you pursue in the future. And we'll see you next year.
Thank you.
Ms. Fiascos?
Thank you both for joining us this afternoon. And I also just wanted to say thank you as well for your kind words regarding our colleague, Mr. Miller. I know that it meant a lot to us. I know it also meant a lot to his family. And he always had our students, first in his mind in service. And so just wanted to say thank you for acknowledging that. Also, the students versus Citrus Heights PD game also piqued my interest. I'm not sure if I'd be able to make it, but definitely wishing the students well. It sounds like that's maybe a first annual event that hasn't taken place before, but wishing the team well on that event. And Jordan, thank you very much for joining us for 2 years. It's been great to have you joining us, offering updates on what's happening at Mesa. If you're interested, I would love to hear a little bit about what might be next for you in the fall. You're willing to share.
I'm just going to be going to trade school for an electrician.
That's awesome. That's very exciting. There's
Great.
no need to put a just in front of that.
No.
That's some high earning wages. You're in good hands. You're in good shape. Good job, and congratulations.
Following Steve's footsteps.
Any other board?
And I
members?
will just note, Ms. Kovcik just noted following in Mr. Miller's footsteps.
Thank you so much for your report. It sounds like you're doing so many things to build climate. And I love the idea of the leprechaun and the kisses for Valentine's Day. It just sounds like you're having happy times, making good memories. Thank you very much. Let's give them another hand. And next we'll hear from Josh Labor and Jordan Bickel from Del Campo.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Bassinelli and Ms. Cunningham. I'm Josh Labor, and with me is Jordan Bickel from Del Campo High School. Thank you for allowing us to discuss what has been happening at Del Campo since our last visit. In late February, our winter sports seasons came to an end. Our varsity boys soccer and boys basketball teams both made playoffs, as well as our varsity girls soccer team. I'd like to make a special shout out to our varsity boys soccer team for making playoffs for the first time in 10 years. Our winter sports teams had a season full of excitement and successes. With winter sports ending, spring sports have begun. Our varsity baseball team is off to a great start and are looking for a second consecutive section championship win. In addition to boys baseball on campus, we also have varsity softball, boys golf, swim, and our track and field team, which are all off to good starts and looking to have a promising season ahead. This spring, Del Campo hosted our tradition of Sportsorama. On March 10th during school, we had our Sportsorama rally, which consisted of games announcing spring sports and a little teaser of what was to come that night. This rally was scored based on cheering and sportsmanship. Once the rally was over, it was announced the seniors won the rally. That night, we hosted the traditional Sportsorama event, which sold over 1,000 tickets. The gym was packed with loud parents and students ready to cheer on each class's athletes. The freshmen's theme was Lilo and Stitch, the sophomores were Beauty and the Beast, the juniors were Hercules, and the seniors were Pirates of the Caribbean. The event started around 7 p.m. and ran all the way until about 10 p.m. The night consisted of a lot of back and forth. For a while, all three classes were within 10 points of each other. In the end, the seniors came out on top by some 30 points over the juniors. The judges this year, who happened to all be past alumni, said this event was the most competitive they've ever seen a Sportsorama before.
In addition to preparing for Sportsorama, back in February, we celebrated Valentine's Day on campus by having posters up all over that represented the little conversation heart candies. We also handed out chocolate kisses and had music playing all over the campus. Then more recently, for St. Patrick's Day, we had a campus-wide scavenger hunt for 4-leaf clovers. Student government spent days prior cutting out various 3-leaf clovers to hang up around campus, and then hid some 4-leaf clovers that if found, the student would receive a prize. Along with the fun scavenger hunt, our principal, Mr. Snyder, dressed up as a leprechaun. I think it is small things like this that really boost the energy on campus. I think these fun little events and games make school enjoyable for most students, especially since term 3 just ended and finals were last week. With how close the end of the school year is, it is nice to have lunchtime activities or fun things to do at school just to keep students engaged until June. All the craziness that came with these past few months on campus is not over. We are still as busy as ever. In April, there will be a ping pong tournament at lunch that will run for the entire month. Also happening on April 29th is the Kids Helping Kids 9th Annual Gala. All proceeds made that night go towards battling pediatric cancer. Tickets are selling fast, but if you are interested in contributing to their cause, you can find a place to buy tickets on their website, kidshelpingkidsac.org. Then in May, we have both junior prom and senior ball. Both classes are in full out planning mode for their dances coming up. Also in May, we will be Del Campo's annual spring fling. At this event, we plan to have water slides, bounce houses, live music, and food trucks. This event was very popular last year, and we hope to see the same turnout again this year. Even though there are lots of fun events happening on campus, students are still working to finish out this school year. Term 4 has just begun, and I know, especially as seniors, we are working hard to maintain good grades. Final grades were due today from term 3, and we are in the final stretch of this school year. We appreciate your time and attention tonight and offer our condolences to the friends and family of Mr. Miller. We enjoy being able to inform you all about the wonderful events that happen on our campus. Thank you again and have a great night.
Do any board members have any questions or comments? Mr. Avey?
Thank you so much for the presentation as a Del Campo alum. Just saying. Don't tell the kids at Bella Vista that, but go Cougars. I love to hear that Sportsorama is still going strong. I think that is one of the best activities. I think Mr. Hernandez has talked about it a lot as well. It's one of the greatest traditions that I think comes out of Del Campo in so many ways. And Kids Helping Kids, another wonderful tradition that I think was started at Del Campo. Just a great program. Both of those are just fantastic leaders for the district. So appreciate you guys coming out, keeping it up, and go Cougars.
Mr. Hernandez?
I have a portable mic, so thank you for your report. Appreciate you honoring our colleague, Mr. Miller. He'll be well missed. And I don't know if you noticed, but his wife, when she posted the death of about his death, his picture that she used was a picture with Del Campo colors, which I think he took it in the studio of the Del Campo TV studio. So just a little bit of trivia there, but thank you. Appreciate the, and to my colleagues, the Kids Helping Kids, that event on April 29th, I would like to invite you to go. I sit on the board for Kids Helping Kids, and it is an incredible organization that those students do. And I believe over the years that I'm aware of, the amount of money that they have raised and donated to various causes throughout our area and worldwide have reached almost $100,000. I'm pretty sure I'm right with that figure. It's an amazing, staggering figure of what they do. So I encourage my colleagues to attend if they're able to do so. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'd like to add my thanks. Kids Helping Kids has always been just a wonderful activity, and I hope all of our board members will be able to attend. It really is. It's not only a great function, but it's great to talk to the students and families and to see the benefits that Kids Helping Kids provides. So thank you very much for your report. Student voice is incredibly important to this board, and we very much appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. And we thank you again for coming, and thank you for remembering and recognizing Stephen Miller. That mattered a lot to us and to his family. Thank you. Thanks again. Good night. We are at item E2, staff reports. Superintendent Bassanelli.
Yes, I just wanted to provide the board with a report. Although we are still processing and grieving the loss of Trustee Miller, we are faced with the fact that we are required to uphold a 60-day timeline to fill the vacancy. To meet this timeline, a special board meeting will be held this Friday, March 31st at 4 p.m. here in the boardroom at the district office. During this meeting, the board will explore and discuss two options for filling the vacancy. These options include a special election or a provisional appointment. The board will also provide guidance to staff regarding which option they would like to take to fill this vacancy and our next steps. Staff are currently in the process of gathering information related to these options so that they can present it to the board for further discussion and exploration.
Thank you. We are at items E3 through E6, and we do not have any reports from board-appointed district committees, employee organizations, or any other district committees. And there are no closed session actions to report. We are at item F, visitor comments. And we do have a visitor comment. Visitor comments are limited to 2 minutes. The clock on the screen. Oh, all right. No problem. Then I'll still go through the rules, but we have no visitor comments for general visitor comments. We do have a visitor comment for one of the agenda items. Comments are limited to 2 minutes. The clock on the screen counts down the time. Under the Ralph M. Brown Act, the board is not allowed to comment on items that are not on the agenda. So we are not ignoring your comments. We just can't respond to any individual comments. The superintendent can refer items to staff who can follow up with you. And we are now at item G, consent calendar. Do any board members wish to remove any items from the consent calendar? Is there a motion to approve items G1 through G11?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Viasquez, seconded by Ms. Kravchuk. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That was unanimous. And we are at business item I1, District K-12 Mathematics Update. Ms. Schnepp.
All right, is the team joining me? Good evening, Vice President Costa, members of the board, Superintendent Bassanelli, and Ms. Cunningham. Tonight, we will share a report regarding the District K through 12 mathematics program. Presenting tonight is Elizabeth Julian, our mathematics program specialist, and Director of Professional Learning, Nicole Kukrow.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to share with you all about what we have going on in math. Nope. To start, I'd like to take a few minutes quickly recalibrating us on the journey that has occurred in math up to this point. In August 2010, the State Board of Education adopted Common Core standards for mathematics. In addition to a shift in content standards, the Common Core introduced math practice standards, providing a framework for how students should approach mathematical tasks and build their understanding. Much of our work for the past 13 years has been focused on embedding these 8 practice standards into daily routines and shifting the student experience from passive learning to actively engaging in mathematics. In 2015, the district transitioned to an integrated pathway at the secondary level in order to better align to the Common Core standards. It was also the start of our current curriculum adoption. Amongst all these changes, teachers, students, and families were also navigating the new California Assessment of Student Progress and Performance, best known as CASP. For 10 years after the adoption of Common Core standards, teachers worked in grade and content level teams to align curriculum and instruction to the new standards and the integrated sequence. Professional learning focused on how to engage students in the standards of math practice, resulting in more and more classrooms becoming student-centered. Students were actively collaborating and problem-solving in groups. Much of this progress was impacted by the pandemic. It is also important to note that this was a time of creativity and innovation as our teachers worked tirelessly learning digital strategies to engage students and families. While we acknowledge that there is a lot of progress to be made, I am excited to share our current efforts and future plans to making a lasting impact on teaching and learning math in our district. I will start by summarizing the feedback that we've gathered from our community and educational partners, our analysis of the academic achievement data, and how we are responding. In the attachments provided, you will find data indicating students' proficiency on iReady in both the fall and winter diagnostics, indicating growth in all K-8 grade levels. Also provided is a breakdown of grades in our integrated math courses. While the iReady data is showing considerable growth over time, we also must acknowledge the percentage of students who are not proficient. Our team has studied the data that was also presented to you in the February 14th LCAP data overview. From that, we know approximately 70% of our students are not meeting standards in math. Similar to the state average, we clearly have work to do, and I'm here tonight to share some of our immediate next steps. In addition, we've taken into account qualitative data to inform our next steps to understand the needs of our community and have an impact on student achievement. We have gathered data from a variety of sources, including but not limited to classroom observations, department and grade level team meetings, teacher and student surveys, and listening circles. In the upcoming slides, I will summarize these findings. Diving deeper into additional data sets and trends, for example, iReady reports, grade data, and current research, it is clear that students at all grade levels are needing more support in developing their foundational numeracy skills. For example, students who struggle with multiplication facts likely have a weak foundation in addition and subtraction. In doing additional research, we found a meta-analysis from 2013 to further support our conclusion. It states early mathematics skills are the strongest predictor of later mathematics achievement, even after controlling for socioeconomic status, reading achievement, and other cognitive abilities. Likewise, the development of algebraic concepts for students nationally is a struggle, and research is suggesting that the development of number sense and fluency at an early age is a major contributing factor. Results from the in-depth analysis revealed the need for curriculum updates and training to support the increasingly diverse needs of our student population. The quantitative data specifically highlighting the need to strengthen students' foundational math skills. In reviewing feedback from our educational partner engagement efforts, families and community members agree that now is time for a district-wide focus in math. Alternative learning opportunities within and outside the school day also emerged as an area of improvement. In addition to community feedback, teachers were surveyed this fall to identify professional learning needs and barriers. Knowledge and support in curriculum and assessment planning, intervention practices, and building positive climate and culture are among the main themes that emerged from the survey and is serving as a guide in the planning and implementation of professional learning in the district. With that, we have organized the feedback into 3 main themes: curriculum and professional learning, interventions and differentiation, and expanded learning opportunities. In the following slides, I will discuss the systems that are currently in progress, how we are building on that work, and new programs being implemented district-wide. I will start by sharing the work that is being done with regards to curriculum and professional learning. There are many different ways that teachers in our district plan their curriculum and assess student progress, including Thursday collaboration time, site or district initiated release days, after-school collaboration sessions, and learning teams, to name a few. Thursday collaboration is often used by site, grade, and content level teams to adjust their pacing based on the data of common assessments. Teachers also have opportunities to engage in release time to review and align curriculum. For example, in response to the data indicating a need for updates in secondary courses, teachers were released for a full day of work on math modeling and financial math with the goal of updating pacing guides, unit plans, and assessments to ensure material is relevant and useful to students and teachers. It also provided opportunity to continue building this network and create a shared resource of materials for the district. We have also concluded an intensive process of piloting materials for a high school curriculum adoption, which will be presented in an upcoming presentation in April. Integrated math teachers in particular are looking forward to the update and upcoming trainings. Additionally, teachers use online tools such as iReady for K-8 and iExcel for 9th through 12th grades to assess student understanding through diagnostic testing and provide teachers, students, and families with individualized plans for progress. Our work now is focused on increasing the engagement in these programs and assisting sites and teachers in analyzing their data, responding to the need for differentiation, assessment, and data-driven instruction. Lastly, one of our most popular book studies currently gaining momentum is called Building Thinking Classrooms. Approximately 100 teachers have completed the book study, and now 5 sites are requesting professional learning on the topic. Based on the qualitative survey data, the increased interest in these sessions, it is clear that this work is directly serving the need of increasing student engagement. I will provide more detail on the next slide. I'd like to take a moment to highlight for you specifically how Building Thinking Classrooms, often referred to as BTC, is transforming teaching and learning at all grade levels. Teachers are learning how to re-engage students to become active participants, collaborate with their peers, and take ownership of their learning. The image on the left is an example of how students at Barrett Middle School work through their math lessons. Teachers from all grade levels from TK to high school are finding success in these innovative strategies. Specifically detailed in the book, the strategies include non-permanent vertical workspaces like the ones you see there, and randomized grouping. Using randomized groups allows for students to work with a variety of peers throughout the year, develop strong relationships with one another, and create a supportive learning environment. By facilitating these collaborative conversations and giving opportunity for students with different backgrounds and math experiences to interact, teachers are promoting the development of critical thinking skills and fostering a student-centered classroom where all students participate and learn. We are currently developing a cohort of teachers to drive this work forward, as well as working with Sacramento County Office of Education, who is also supporting this transformative work within the greater Sacramento area. Shifting now to the work supporting intervention and differentiation, I want to be clear and recognize that many of our actions contribute to multiple areas of need and may fall into one or more of the identified themes presented to you tonight. One of our greatest resources in addressing the post-pandemic learning needs is the increase in intervention teachers and services for students below grade level. Sites have implemented a variety of systems to meet the needs of their student population. Many elementary schools refer students to be pulled out on 6-week learning cycles with a designated intervention teacher. Other models rotate students through a wheel of courses throughout the school year. For example, Katherine Johnson Middle School is addressing their students' math needs by rotating all 6th graders through 4 different domains, one of which is Math Foundations course. Flex time is another strategy used by 10 of the 19 secondary sites to provide intervention and enrichment within the school day. The feedback collected from intervention teachers and site administrators has highlighted an immediate need for additional math intervention training and resources. In response to this, we have partnered with U.S. Math Recovery Council with the mission of strengthening our students' foundational numeracy skills increasing teachers' awareness of elementary learning progressions in math, and providing assessment tools to accurately identify students' levels of understanding. I will share more about that next. This partnership with Math Recovery is a brand new opportunity within the district and has been shared with intervention and classroom teachers, instructional assistants, as well as administrators through our weekly newsletters. Spring workshops are underway and have been our most in-demand professional learning sessions this year. These 90-minute after-school virtual workshops are intended to build momentum and interest for our more intensive summer trainings. Our first 5 sessions have been at maximum capacity, and the next 5 currently have waitlists. Workshops started about 1 month ago, and so far we have 53 participants representing 60% of our elementary sites, having attended at least 1 workshop. In addition to classroom teachers and intervention specialists, instructional assistants have also been eager at the opportunity to learn about tools and strategies to help students with foundational numeracy. The skills learned in these sessions targeting grades TK to 5 can be applied to whole class, small group, and individualized instruction, maximizing our impact on student achievement, specifically addressing the need to accelerate learning. The more in-depth summer courses will provide learning on how to use dynamic diagnostic assessments to understand a student's current thinking, then build students' understand based on developmentally appropriate learning progressions. To give you an example of an early elementary math learning progression is the ability to progress from counting every digit on their fingers to counting on from a large number to the more sophisticated approach of using grouping strategies when adding 2 quantities. You may be surprised to hear from a group of students the variety of ways to find the total of 8 and 5, for example. Understanding these learning progressions is shown to be critical in advancing students in math. Another part of our implementation plan is to build capacity and sustainability by training up to 16 intervention teachers to lead the work of math recovery moving forward. In the next slide, we have a testimonial from a San Juan Unified intervention teacher who had prior math recovery trainings in her previous district. When Angela heard about the opportunity of math recovery trainings coming to San Juan, she reached out to share her experience and excitement. We have a short clip of Angela sharing her experience with math recovery. You will hear her use the acronym AVMR, which stands for Advantage Math Recovery and is the name of the 4-day course that we are offering for the first time this summer. Here is her testimony.
One of the ways I felt like AVMR training most rapidly impacted my classroom was in my ability, or my teaching was in my ability to really see what students knew and could do and how they thought about numbers and math. I have a math emphasis on my master's degree for elementary education, but I always felt after years of teaching that I was using district or state or school assessments to just kind of figure out what kids did and didn't know. And then when I got to AVMR, which is really based on a developmentally appropriate sequence based on research on how kids acquire math and number knowledge, I was able to better pinpoint exactly what kids knew, where were their holes, and teach them where they were instead of trying to go backwards from my grade level curriculum.
We are lucky to have an experienced math recovery teacher and are leveraging this opportunity to learn from nearby school districts who have had success with the program. Math recovery is brand new to San Juan, and not all teachers or administrators may have heard about it yet. We're actively working to promote these opportunities by sharing the positive feedback from workshops and advertising the various opportunities with site administrators, teachers, and instructional assistants. Our goal is to engage at least 150 participants by the end of the 2023-24 school year, and based on our initial interest, we are optimistic that we will surpass that goal. Feedback from our teachers that have engaged in our spring workshops so far is overwhelmingly positive. Survey responses suggest that sessions are highly engaging and effective in providing practical strategies and resources for teaching early math concepts. We look forward to sharing the success of this program with you in the future. I will share now the expanded learning opportunities that contribute to our goal of improved math achievement. Many sites organize and implement before and after school tutoring programs, some that are led by students themselves. Elementary sites are using before and after school support, some using this time to help students engage more with iReady. In addition to tutoring, we also have programs that engage students mathematically in a way that is relevant and game-like. Our first cohort of Math Hoops concluded this past month with 8 participating teachers and approximately 90 students. I will highlight this more in a moment. We are also supporting and expanding STEAM clubs around the district in response to teacher and student interest. These are engaging after-school programs that integrate science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics to foster creativity, innovation, and critical thinking skills. We have partnered with LEGO Education to provide cross-curricular standards aligned learning opportunities, helping students build teamwork and communication skills in an engaging and relevant way. Lastly, our summer opportunities include credit recovery, enrichment options, as well as fun and engaging programs like Math Camp, where students learn about growth mindset, build collaborative skills, and push their thinking beyond grade level standards. As previously mentioned, this fall was the start of our first Math Hoops cohort, which serves students from 2nd and up to 5th grades, giving priority to our targeted groups. With the use of ELOP funds, students are invited to engage in friendly competition while also developing their basic math and problem-solving skills. Here you see a picture of students from Greer Elementary competing to score the most points by analyzing real-time statistics and performing basic math operations. All teachers in the program indicated that they would recommend the Math Hoops program to their colleagues. One teacher responding, "I like how it brings a sense of community to the school. I have a group of kids from various grade levels who became friends through the group and got to bond over the common experience." Another teacher stating, "I love how it helps the kids get better and faster at their math facts while having tons of fun." We plan to organize another cohort next year and anticipate that more schools will engage in this fun opportunity. On this slide, you can see the group of students and chaperones before departing together to a Kings game earlier this month. For many students, this was their first field trip away, and while parents were nervous, students were full of excitement as they had been tracking the statistics of the Kings throughout the season in their after-school programs. It was an exciting game that came down to the final seconds, Kings coming out on top by 1 point to the LA Clippers.
That was a great game.
Our work moving forward is grounded in a continuous improvement cycle of inquiry that you may recall detailed in the LCAP review presented in February. The implementation plans for our work in math intentionally include frequent monitoring and analysis of student data and eliciting student, teacher, and parent feedback. Based on that information, we plan to continuously refine and adjust our action plans, making data-informed decisions to improve student learning. Before I close, I also want to recognize all of the hard work that is being done across the district to improve math that may not have been mentioned in this presentation. With the limited time here tonight, we did our best to briefly summarize the district-wide efforts that are in direct response to the data and community feedback. With that, I'm open for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. We do have a visitor comment card. Would you facilitate?
We do have one visitor comment, Sarah Britton.
Thank you. Good evening. And let me first express my condolences over the passing of Trustee Miller. That's unexpected and absolutely unfortunate. I also wanted to say thank you to everyone, board and all staff that are here for doing this deep dive into this issue that was, raised to the board. I think it takes a lot of focus and effort and collaboration in order to put on these presentations to the board. It doesn't come easy. I know there's a lot of admin effort that goes into it. So I really appreciate everybody that took the time to do that. My comment tonight is that I know we have an upcoming opportunity with the revision and then approvals of the SIPSAs, the school plans for student achievement, as well as the annual budget. And in looking at some of the school SIPSAs and the school site councils, I hope that everyone is encouraged to promote, I think, the discussion between site leadership, particularly in math, the school site council and the admin that heads that, to come up with ways that that type of SIPSA funding or the funding that is done through the SIPSA process could be used to help with some of these particular initiatives. I think it provides a very clear collaboration point with the community, the people that are interested in this at the different sites. Staff mentioned the need for differentiated supports. And I think getting some of the community feedback at the different sites about those differentiated supports that are needed, both data-driven and just colloquial from families and students, could be very important and very positive in moving this forward. I know oftentimes these initiatives sort of die down as the interest dies down. And I hope that we can keep that moving forward and not losing the effort to this by monitoring that through the SIPSAs. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any board members have any questions or comments? Ms. Fiascos?
Thank you very much for the presentation. I have a couple of comments and I do have one question as well. First, again, it was focus, there was mention of it at the beginning, but want to just express my appreciation in general about really jumping in, full-fledged on what we all know has been a long-standing challenge that continues to exacerbate, right? And it's a significant challenge that is important to continue to acknowledge, right? 70% of our kids not at standards is not acceptable. And so we're really tackling that. And I think one of the examples of how this initiative was different, there were many throughout that, but one thing that caught my ear was the inclusion of IAs in these efforts, really demonstrating, right, that it's a communal effort, right? It's not just the credentialed teacher in charge of making sure that this happens, or, we're not just putting it entirely on their backs alone and saying, you're responsible for this, go fix it, but instead tackling this as a community and say, how do we all support the needs of all of our children? I also do have to note, whoever came up with the NBA hoops math program, okay, I see something. Well done. I'm gonna give you a round of applause. Did you know that the Kings would actually be good this year? Okay, that was just fortuitous then. May these kids never know the struggles that Kings fans have seen. I mean, I don't want to polo when I was their age, but because I'm just not there yet. But it was exciting to see that coincide with, something locally that is very exciting and can genuinely raise their interests. The one thing I wanted to sort of ask about, a lot of this did focus on the earlier side of things, the elementary side of things, but I know it was more comprehensive than that. There's secondary initiatives noted in here as well. One of the things that has come up throughout, I think, more recent years as a tool is kind of peer support and a few more opportunities throughout the school days for peers to engage with each other, specifically around math. And so I wanted to invite the team to kind of brainstorm or maybe discuss a little bit further where some of those efforts might fit in here, if at all, because that's a kind of a theme we've heard and seen throughout recent years.
I want to highlight two specific programs that are happening, and we're going to also share those in the ELO presentation that we are going to do at our next presentation. At both Bella Vista and Rio, they are piloting peer tutoring. At Rio, they're doing it during zero period. So the amazing teacher that's running the program, Svetlana Popov, is able to match the peer students and really find the relationship that works. So she, as they're tutoring, will look for those best fits. And the students' feedback is, it is so helpful for them having tutoring that's happening by a peer who can really break it down for them. At Bella Vista, they're doing push-in, where peers are going into the classroom and helping teachers in specifically IM1, IM3, and then some of the smaller tutoring classes as well. We're finding really strong success with that student tutoring. And those are just two I wanted to highlight. And I'm not sure if you have more to highlight.
Great, and look forward to sort of continued updates on that on the ELO side of things where it sounds like sort of that might be bucketed, and appreciate that update. I think my last note I wanted to highlight was 60% of elementary participation of elementary math teacher participation rate in the acronym isn't spelled out here, so I've already forgotten
Math
it. but-
recovery is what we call it.
Okay, we're just gonna call it math recovery. Okay, sounds good. That's a high participation rate, and hopefully as the cohorts grow and can kind of spread the word of how it's been helpful, that'll continue to increase that number. But I wanted to acknowledge, not my surprise at all, but my acknowledgement that our practitioners are willing to acknowledge, right, that their learning is never complete and there's always different ways to tackle a problem, and being willing to kind of get out of the comfort zone of that typical curriculum that's always brought out, et cetera. I wanted to just highlight that and express my appreciation for that as well. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Mr. Avey?
Thank you so much for the presentation and everything that went into it. I also want to acknowledge the previous briefings that we've gotten on the specific work at Rio Americano and their math program, because I think this presentation was requested when this chamber was full of parents from Rio that were concerned about a math program. And from what we've heard, the engagement with those parents has been really good. And I think we're making progress on the Rio math program, and maybe, you know, the math program's living up to what we thought it was going to be when we implemented it. So I think that's a great example of how do we take something and how do we really exemplify it when it may not be firing on all cylinders the way that we want it to. I do appreciate you just clearly identifying the gap. I think we all need to understand what we're solving for, and 70% is a big number. It's a big thing to solve for. And I feel like I'm using math terms on what's the number we're solving for. So I appreciate calling that out. I think it makes it real, and I think it all helps us all understand the gravity of the situation. Math Recovery Council. I love that. I think it's a great idea. I think the one thing that I'm curious about is, and it might not be a presentation for tonight, but what's the way we go about evaluating the different strategies that we're using to figure out which ones are working, which ones are not working. You know, what are we gonna put by the wayside? Because it may be a great strategy in Ohio, but is it working, you know, at Del Campo? And really just kind of understanding that process, and how do we lift up and scale the programs that are working? I assume that's happening, but I think talking about that may be helpful. Specifically, because in being new to the role, I think part of what I'm trying to figure out is how do you bring the macro and the micro together, right? We talk big picture strategies. How do we boil that down to the impact at, you know, Northridge Elementary, or, you know, wherever that's going to be, and where are those strategies working for those students, right? It's a differentiated response for schools. And how do we manage all that? And then just the last thing I'll say, I appreciated the comment we had about the SIPSAs. I think there is opportunity to focus. Maybe it's already there. I'm the new person, but maybe there is an opportunity to focus in on some of those big goals, especially when we look at where are the gaps, and maybe we can focus in some of our local plans on issues that we've identified. I think that's been a strategy in the past, but maybe one we can, you know, focus on even more. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Crouch.
Well, I think I'm going to echo some of my colleagues' comments, but I do appreciate the report, and I also appreciate some out of the box thinking and just all the different ways that we are trying to improve all the interventions and differentiation, especially the professional learning opportunities. And I have seen some of them in action. Math Hoops is at my daughter's school, and they love it. The kids are doing great. And agreed how fortuitous that the Kings are actually doing well. So it's just a cherry on top. Particularly intrigued with this building thinking classrooms, because I think for students, so often we just memorize enough things to, you know, get an okay grade on the test, and then you forget about it. but really being able to process and reason and have that lifetime learning is just crucial. I have a question about the attachment C that we have in our packet. It's the iReady math proficiency and high school letter grade distribution. So my colleague, Mr. Avey, mentioned that I would like to have an understanding of, or I echo him in this, that I would like to have an understanding of what's working and how often we measure that. I know in high school it's different from the elementary schools, but can you walk me through this attachment C and what this is measuring and if I'm accurately reading this?
Sure. So each fall, the students are taking their iReady diagnostic. And then teachers, throughout the year are using iReady as well with personalized instruction. Some sites use it in their intervention time to address some of those gaps. And then they take it again in the winter. So what you see is the proficiency,
At the start of the year.
at the start of the year and then in the winter. And again, some sites will take it in the spring as well.
So am I reading this correctly that in IM1, which is about freshmen, that more students are failing than any other grade level?
In IM1. So, and that's separate from iReady. So those are the grade distributions from the data that we do have, because in secondary, an additional challenge is that we have our CASP data at 11th grade. So we use our grade data primarily. And yes, IM1 is a focus.
Are
and a
there,
need.
are there extra supports or were some of these programs that you were talking about earlier, are they more focused on freshmen and IM1?
There's quite a few things at sites that they do in their Thursday collaboration time to address the IM1 concerns. But we also have courses that support that, math foundations that come prior to IM1 and IM1 support classes that coincide with that students can take at the same time as a support class as well. And then before and after school tutoring is available. iExcel is also a program that they use in the high schools that help to identify kind of a personal learning plan for students with extra practice.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No, okay. The summer math recovery program, are there still spaces in that available for teachers to sign up?
Last I checked, there were, yes.
And how is that being disseminated throughout all of our elementary schools?
Right now, we're sending it out in our newsletters that go out to elementary teachers. We have a cohort of intervention teachers that communicate separately, and so they're pushing it out to their folks, and then instructional assistants as well. And also through the administrators' newsletter, so they can share to their staffs.
Great. It sounds like a wonderful program.
We're very excited.
Thank you for a very comprehensive report. This was actually exactly what I think we needed to hear, and I hope we will get the feedback about what's working in San Juan and for which students. So thank you very much to the entire team. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And now we are on item I2, 2023-24 District Transportation Plan. Mr. Camarda.
Thank you and good evening, Vice President Costa, members of the board, Superintendent Bassanelli, and Ms. Cunningham. Our buses travel approximately 1.1 million miles per year safely. We're transporting about 854 students with individualized education plan known as the IEP. Students with 504 medical accommodations, McKinney-Vento students that are experiencing homelessness, foster youth students, and also preschool students. So at the McKinney-Vento we have about 20 of those students out of 854. We have 3 foster youth students, and we also have 113 preschool students that we're transporting. We're serving 55 district sites and 2 non-public programs. Those non-public programs are things like School of the Deaf or School of the Blind or any type of therapies that are not being administered in one of our public schools. As far as our staffing is concerned, we have 80 school bus drivers currently. We have 5 van drivers, a piloted van driver program. We have 2 contracted drivers to make up the balance of our routes. We have a total of 87 drivers. We have 13 bus attendants that provide student supports either one-on-one or as a group in our buses. Our routes, we have 65 routes. For our bus routes, we have 5 piloted van routes. We have 2 dedicated McKinney-Vento routes as well. Some of the co-curricular activities that we provide service for are field trips. And for this year, we have about 505 that have some have been already taken and some that are planned. Most of those are at the end of the school year, but it's a pretty big number, 505. We have purchased new transit buses to be able to do more field trips, more reliable field trips because our bus fleet's pretty old. And we're able to secure transit buses to be able to provide safe transportation to students on field trips. We have 135 school buses currently. The majority of those are very old. We are replacing those each year. We have a bus replacement program. Thanks to Superintendent Kearns, new Superintendent Bassinelli, also our CFO, Jennifer Stahlheber, for carving out funding to be able to replace our school buses, which is desperately needed. So I appreciate the effort for that. We are taking delivery of 6 electric vehicle buses. We are putting the charge stations in, and we should be receiving those buses shortly. And our future bus purchases are going to include alternative fuel buses, and those are going to be propane type buses. On top of our EV buses, we'll be migrating away from gasoline driven buses or diesel driven buses in the future. We operate a budget of about $9.3 million. So I just wanted to provide the board with some transportation statistics, and I'll get into the reason why we're up here today. As part of the 2022-23 California budget, the state increased its transportation funding for school districts by reimbursing up to 60% of the prior year's transportation expenses. That amounts to approximately $5.4 million. Transportation, actually, no, I'm sorry. That amounts to approximately $5.4 million. Transportation reimbursement was implemented by Assembly Bill 181 and Assembly Bill 185. And to receive those reimbursements through Ed Code 39800.1, the local education authority, which is the school district, is required to develop a plan describing its transportation services. And that plan shall be presented to the board on or before April 1st, 2023. And then any updates would occur each year thereafter. So some of the plan requirements that we have describe how the transportation will be accessible to students with disabilities, McKinney-Vento, homeless students, and foster youth students. Priority planning for services for students in grades TK through 6 and low-income students. Describe how unduplicated students may access free transportation, and develop that plan with consultation with key education partners and local transportation authorities. Our plan remains basically the same as it always has. It includes providing free transportation for students who reside within our boundaries, attend our San Juan schools, and are identified as needing transportation in their IEP or the 504 medical accommodation, again, along with the McKinney-Vento students experiencing homelessness and our foster youth students. With the elimination of general education transportation in 2011-12 school year, we currently do not offer transportation services right now for grades TK through 6 or low income students. So that portion of the plan requirement is omitted from our plan. The plan should describe how unduplicated students may access free transportation. What does the term unduplicated students or pupils refer to? Unduplicated pupils are students who are not are English language learners. They meet the income or categorical eligibility requirements for free or reduced price meals under the National School Lunch Program, or they are foster youth or homeless. Under this plan requirement, we only transport the unduplicated students who are identified as foster youth and homeless. Finally, our plan should be crafted with consultation from various education partners and from regional transit authorities. Transportation Director, who I have with me right now, Director Robert Ozenberger, and a handful of our local school district, other school district directors of transportation corresponded with our regional transportation agencies. And we got about 3 comments from them. And some of those comments are continue to replace your school buses with electric vehicles with 0 or near 0 emissions of the available options in California. And I mentioned the propane is one of our options and the electric vehicle is another option. Offer alternative modes of transportation, van service, which we're doing. I mentioned our piloted van program. And also inform parents of safe routes to school information for walking and bicycling to school. And also they recommended that we designate a transportation coordinator at each of the schools to disseminate information to parents for carpooling and stuff like that. Okay. As part of the education engagement for our education partner engagement, on March 13th, this plan was put on the transportation website. On March 21st, we posted in our internal staff newsletter behind the scenes and circulated to our special education families via email and electronic communications. We do have some comments and I'll just read a few, I'll paraphrase a few of those for you. So this is coming from our education partners. Will there still be bus attendance? And I'm going to add that Director Ozenberger is going to be following up with each of the folks that made comments on the transportation plan. There should be female bus attendants in every single bus. That's a comment. They're concerned that you cannot call dispatch the night before to cancel bus service. So they feel there's an efficiency issue there. If they were able to cancel at night, then our buses wouldn't run to those school sites in the morning, saving fuel and time and money. Transportation is a huge expense. Hopefully we can curtail unnecessary stops, save fuel, save time, and wear and tear on the buses. Other comments are any proposed changes to the current services, which is no. Transporting child. We have been transporting this person's child for 7 years, and we have never seen this type of document before. It's the first year that we are required to submit a plan to be able to get the 60% reimbursement from the state. A foster parent moved here a year ago, was told students were not eligible for transportation, would like assistance in figuring out how they can access that. So we'll be approaching and talking to those parents on how they can access free transportation. And one of the barriers we've seen for our students that wanted to attend a high school that offers career tech programs are not offered at their home school. It's a long shot, but can this be included in the wish list section of your plan? And then finally, I'm a mother of children within the district, and I'm writing to say thank you. I know that this plan is not in effect, but just the thought that it may go through as a relief. My children are low income, and it's hard to leave work early. I'm hopeful something will be worked out before my student goes to middle school. So I think they're talking about that TK through 6 and that low income option that we currently do not transport students on. And also last comment, I'd like to say I support the expansion of bus transportation and funding for stakeholders if more children have the opportunity to take the school bus to and from school. And board members, in addition to the regional transportation comments or educational partner comments, folks can also comment tonight at the board meeting through our comment process. So board members, the superintendent has recommended that the board approve the 2023-2024 district transportation plan. And with that, board members, I can take any questions that you might have. And again, I have Director Robert Ozenberger up here. If there's questions I cannot answer, I'm hoping that Director Ozenberger can, but if we both cannot answer, then we'll get back to the board with some form of communication. So thank you.
Thank you. We have no public comment cards. Do any board members have questions or comments? Mr. Avey.
Thank you for the presentation. Couple random question. What's a transit bus? And how's that different than a school bus?
I can answer, but let Robert answer. He has been up front of the meeting.
So a transit bus is the full-size bus that you normally would be thinking that are available. You can transport, a lot of students for field trips, but generally in our district, we only transport for students who are special needs. So you see those smaller buses is what we mostly have in our fleet.
And just to elaborate just a little more, they're large capacity buses that you'll see for like athletic and field trips. So these are over 65 passenger or 55, 56 passenger buses. They're larger buses. Yeah.
And then for the electric vehicle buses, I was actually at a presentation at CSBA. And I heard some districts saying that they were having trouble with the EVs. It was they're having to do mid-route charging. And do we have those issues, or are we flat enough that it's not a problem? Or do we know yet?
Well, we haven't rolled them out yet. The charge stations are in, the buses have not been delivered. It is a concern. We're 75 square miles. So to provide, the buses have limited range. We're hoping that Mr. Ozenberger and his routing staff route these buses to where there are no midday charging. As far as being able to complete do a complete run, get back to the yard and do some midday charging. But the worst thing we can have happen is buses running out of an electric charge like halfway or 3/4 through their route and having to try to get that bus back to the yard. So hopefully the routing will be done within the capacity of what the EV buses can actually, the range of the EV buses can produce.
Then I should have one comment of that. I think the concept of doing busing for low income students, I love the idea. I know it comes down to it's a budgetary choice, and we'll have to figure that out. But I do want to know, I've heard from a lot of parents that are really struggling with the new school start times. It's just a struggle across the board. So I think that's something we have to take into account. We may not be able to do anything about it, but I think, busing and before and after school care are two potential solutions if we were able to fill that. So just a comment. Thank you.
Ms. Fiascas?
Thank you for the presentation and for the plan. I have more of a comment. And before I forget, I know there's no part of the plan that's got the wish list, but I do like the idea of the site-based transportation coordinator. My mind immediately went to sort of helping kind of boost and maintain attendance. And so, but we're not here for wish lists at this particular moment, not to say they can't be considered later. I really appreciated the plan, and I'm worried that it's the bureaucrat in me. This seems really brief. I know it's the first, year that this plan has been required. And I know that not every document we adopt has to be hundreds of pages. So I want to acknowledge that. Sure. But a lot of the background that you included, Mr. Kamada, in your presentation to us, just in terms of numbers, I think maybe for future planning purposes, this is by nature kind of a retrospective document that we're adopting by April 1st for the purposes of the funding. Who knows if we'll even have the funding moving forward with the current budget, state budget conditions, et cetera. So just a comment of maybe for future transportation plans to have just a little bit more of some of the background that you included in your verbal presentation to us included in the plan.
Yeah, I think we took the least path of resistance on this first one and describing the actual plan.
Yeah.
And I think next year, that is, Robert and I discussed this, next year we'll be providing a little bit more of a packet form of a plan with some statistical information in it, so folks can actually read it and get the same information that I just provided to the board. So I appreciate you calling that out. Thank you.
And I know a lot of that information is already part of a number of different documents and plans, et cetera. But I appreciate, it's the first one. State budget processes aren't exactly the most clear things ever. So appreciate that. And thank you for acknowledging it.
I would add that Director Ozenberger ran this through the CDE just for the test of whether or not is this sufficient enough describing our plan. And the answer was yes, it is sufficient enough, but we can do whatever we want. We can add as much detail to a plan as we possibly want or need to for ease of use of our stakeholders that want just a little bit more information rather than just, IEP or 504 accommodation or McKinney-Vento. They probably want just a little bit more information in there.
And I think it could be a useful place to have things like our EV inventory or that kind of thing. It could be a resource document moving forward, but it's new. So I understand that. And I'm, like I said, I don't need a lot of paperwork just for the sake of paperwork either. So I appreciate the brevity as well and totally understand it. And thank you for presenting it to us.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. I apologize in advance because this could be opening a can of worms, but the thought came to me, and so I will go ahead and ask. If there are bus routes or van routes that are for the unduplicated would be covered for the allowance, but they are not at max capacity, would we be able to open that up to other students who live on that route and would be interested in transportation? Or there's not a sustainable way to do that?
I think we would be, the board eliminated general education transportation. So for that to be undone and provide services to students other than what we're providing, I think that would cause an equity issue throughout the entire district of whether or not we're being fair. Just because we have space on buses, that, should we be filling those buses with students within these categories? I think the board would have to really take a look and making pretty decisive action of bringing some form of general education transportation back to be able to offer that. I don't think we can do that arbitrarily and just offer just because we have space on buses. I think we have to take formal action on that to be able to provide that for all students.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the report. I think we should post the 1.1 million miles someplace so that the public knows. That's,
A lot.
I know I've heard that before, but I haven't heard it in a long time. And it really did take my breath away. I thought, wow, that's impressive. And that they're safe miles. I don't want to jinx anything, but
Just knocked on the
that's-
podium.
Yes.
That's for sure.
That's really impressive. Thank you for the report. And now this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve the 2023-24 district transportation plan?
So moved.
Been moved by Ms. Fiascos,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Avey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
We are at item I3, presentation of the initial bargaining proposal for the San Juan Teachers Association successor contract 2023-24. Mr. Thigpen.
Good evening, Ms. Costa, Superintendent Bassanelli, board members, and Ms. Cunningham. I'm here to present the initial bargaining proposal for the San Juan Teachers Association successor contract 2023-24 school year. And at this time, I'd be happy to attempt to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any public cards, comment cards? There are none. Do any board members have any questions or comments? With that, thank you very much.
See you on
This item
April.
will come back for public comment on April 11th. Thank you. And we are on item I4, Board Governance Handbook Update, Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Vice President Costa, members of the board, Superintendent Bassanelli, and Ms. Cunningham. We return again tonight with the governance handbook for your consideration and discussion. This is not an action item tonight because we did make some significant additions to it. So we wanted to give you some time to digest that and have some conversation around it. Just to highlight for you, we did add that language we had talked about previously around academic focus areas. We did also clarify the language around abstentions and recusals to note that those abstentions can be for any reason, while those recusals must be used for specific conflicts of interest. And then finally, we did add a rather large and lengthy section on the San Juan Rules of Order. Those are based heavily on the Rosenberg's Rules of Order, which provide a more simplified structure than the Roberts Rules of Order. I will also note for you that we are proposing in our next item that those same rules of order be applied to our board appointed committees as well.
Thank you very much. Do any board, we have no visitor comment cards. Do any board members have any questions, comments? Mr. Avey?
No, I love my bylaws and governance documents. Thank you so much for the rules of order at the end. I think that'll actually be very helpful. And I think learning about Rosenberg's was actually a great thing for me because I think it is a much better process than Robert's rules. So thank you for raising that. The one thing I didn't see in here that I discussed before is just that section talking about virtual public comment. I just keep going back to it as a parent who was very engaged over COVID, I used virtual comment, as this board knows, quite a bit. And I think it's just a good way for us to engage parents, especially people who are at home. They have kids, they have other lives. But if we truly want parents and families to be involved, I think we need to give them the opportunity to make a comment in real time from home after hearing the board presentation. And so I think the governance handbook is probably the appropriate document for us to add something like that if we were to do it. I don't really think it's a bylaw thing. Specifically under public comments on page 8, I'd be open to some allowances for technological issues. We don't want to have to cancel a meeting because Zoom is down. But I do think if we believe in community engagement and we want parent input, we have to make accommodations for parents who cannot physically be here on a Tuesday night for 3 or 4 hours. So I hope my colleagues are interested in that, and I'd be open to your thoughts.
I'm going to go ahead and just take a moment to respond directly to that piece, and maybe I might have other comments afterwards. But appreciate you raising that for discussion, Mr. Avey, and just want to express some concern about that. I mean, right now there is opportunity. I know it's not ideal, but I read closely the written comments that come both before a meeting, during a meeting, and after a meeting. And I think that that allows for that engagement. I want to acknowledge it's not the same type of engagement of being here in front of the dais. But I have some genuine concerns about, frankly, the Zoom meeting apparatus and tool being weaponized against us and taking over the business of our meeting. And so without further discussion on what, if any, other limitations we can even put on remote comments, I do not support that at this time. It's one, I don't think legally we could put any requirements. Some requirements that I would think of are sort of residency requirements, or making sure that someone offering a comment is in fact a member of our community, or how many Zoom comments are we going to take in one evening? Are we going to go through every single one of them? And when a particular hot button issue comes up, there's an opportunity, frankly, for our meetings to be filibustered. There's also, I think, a safety issue. A lot of times when individuals come to us presenting challenges or safety concerns specific to a site or specific to a child or specific to a practitioner, there's follow-up from staff, and we're able to do that. I would have some concerns about things being brought very specifically to public comment without an identifying name to either follow up, both in terms of safety concerns for any particular students that might be called out or discussed during that public comment, or even safety concerns for our staff. We live in very challenging times right now. And I think for me, unfortunately, safety is just at top of mind. And there's just so many what ifs, and I know we can't accommodate every what if, but without some discussions about parameters, et cetera, it's not something I'm willing to support at this time. And I wanted to take the opportunity because you asked for feedback on that. Actually, while I have the mic, thank you for bringing this forward. I think you did a really fantastic job of incorporating most, if not all, of our feedback that there was consensus on. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge and appreciate, thank you for the work.
Thank you.
Any other comments from other board members? Scrubbed.
I'd like to address Mr. Avey's comment and Ms. Vasquez. I'm not sure that I understand Ms. Vasquez's comment about safety. So maybe if you wouldn't mind addressing that a little bit.
Sure, I'd be happy to. There have been instances where individuals have come to us in person and very specifically named, I think, safety issues, whether it's bullying, whether it's challenges with a staff member, et cetera. I think there's been instances of both. I mean, some parents have come and discussed direct harm to their kids, and there's follow-up that gets that takes place with that, because obviously we take that very seriously and want that appropriately addressed. I would be concerned about someone being able to participate very anonymously, come say whatever they want for 2 minutes, because that is the beauty of public comment,
and us not being able to follow up, particularly if there was some safety issues addressed or raised, or if there were frankly accusations made, et cetera.
I see. Thank you for the additional information. I think that this merits some discussion because the world kind of changed in 2020 and we didn't Zoom before, we didn't do anything like that before. But as a society, as a culture, we are progressing with our technology and what we're able to do now. And I think we do need to be mindful of that and just aware of how people are living their daily lives and how they're just able to manage a lot more tasks in less time and how they're using technology. So in general, I would like to explore options of how we incorporate technology into the way that we do our business and just be reflective and responsive of the times. And as a parent, and also as someone who has had a young child and wanted to be here, but I have 4 kids and no daycare. So I definitely see that perspective of Mr. Avies of, wanting to be engaged, but just not being able to get out. So I would want to be responsive to our parents that way too. But maybe there's middle ground. And I know that we have restrictions with Brown Act and different things. But I wouldn't want us to limit ourselves in potential what ifs, because it's 2023 and it's coming, whether we want it or not, but we should explore options to be responsive to our community and see how we can best do that. And then to some of the comments that you made earlier, Ms. Vasquez, about residency requirements and things of that nature, I don't think that we require that for public comment right now. So I don't know how much that would be, how we would need to address that, if anything. The safety concerns, I'd like to have maybe some more conversations about how we can mitigate that if there's things that we could put in place, but just to be open to possibilities of utilizing technology to all the benefits that it has for us. So that's my take.
Mr. Hernandez.
My comment to Mr. Avey is pretty simple. We use modern technology now for anybody to contact us on a moment's notice. Anybody can email us individually as a board. They can even call us if they like. And I'm sure my colleagues are very receptive to when we receive those type of emails and even calls. And so if there's someone that really wants to get a hold of us, they can, and that's already in our process. As far as a board being here or Zoom during a board meeting, I personally, and this may be naive, I personally feel that if I like the fact that a person can come here in public and address us, and we're able to see them, we were able to see body language, and they in return understand, can get remarks from us if it's an agenda item, of course. And it really boils down to me, if our kids are supposed to be at school and we're supposed to be here in person, and a person wants to make a comment, I feel that they should come here and do it in person. And if they want to email or call me individually, by all means do so, and I will respond to that. But I feel if our students are live, they should be as well. That's my personal opinion. And I'll make my comment now to this. I was brought to my attention on a small item, and I'll address it on page 8, the last line. And I did talk to Mr. Allen, so this is more for my colleagues, where this is in reference to abstaining. In the last line, if a member was absent at the previous meeting, they will abstain from voting on the approval meeting. Basically, and this is the way it was before. This is not a change, but it's basically saying that if we are not here for whatever reason, you don't have a choice, you will abstain. Now, I know it's probably common knowledge for all of us to probably do that, but this does not give us the, it may be important to you to vote a certain way, even though you were not here. So I just want to bring it to your attention. I'm not saying we change it. I'm just saying I want you to be aware that it's the way it is written currently, that if we're not here, we will abstain if it stays like this. That's all, just for your information's sake.
Mr. Avey.
No, thank you very much for the comments and the feedback. Just a couple, not just responses. So I think it's worth noting that in our current bylaws, we do have limitations on public comment. We have set periods. We can choose whether we want to extend those. I believe those were put in place to prevent those such activities, those kinds of filibusters. So those are already embedded. The Brown Act prohibits us from asking for a person's name before public comment. So we already allowed to offer public comment in the same way Ms. Kravchuk mentioned. There's no residency requirements. And I think it's important to know, I mean, the reason the Brown Act sets it up the way that it does is public comment is required to be a part of the board conversation. And so while you are able to write a letter before, you are able to, call a member, there are those engagement points. I think we also have to remember that the intent of the Brown Act, while it doesn't require virtual engagement, it is understanding and respecting the idea that that voice in the conversation impacts the conversation. And that's what I want to bring the voice into. So that's just, so thank you.
Ms. Fiasco.
Thank you, Ms. Costa, for facilitating the discussion. That was the point of this item. And so I guess I just wanted to kind of, one, appreciate the feedback to some of my sort of concerns. And I guess what I want to kind of, one, I want to align myself with also what Mr. Hernandez said. I think your sentiments match as well as some of the ones that I share in general. But I think at this time, just kind of adding a blanket virtual comments is allowed. I wouldn't be supportive of. I don't want to say I'm not supportive of the conversation. And I think there is a way to perhaps approach it that has some parameters and allows particularly, I mean, the things that come to mind are just more contentious meetings where there might be folks who want to disrupt the board, disrupt the work of our board and don't want to do it in person, but instead want to go online and do it. And Mr. Avey, you raise good points that we have some time limitations, et cetera, already in place. We've gone quite some time without a governance handbook at this point. And so I would be supportive of moving this forward as is and continuing the discussion around the virtual comment piece. And I wanted to just close on that. Thank you, Ms. Costa, again for entertaining my many comments. And I thank you to my colleagues for the discussion as well. I appreciate it.
I concur with Mr. Hernandez. I believe that the public has so many avenues to make contact with us, both with email, phone calls, and sending group emails to the board. I also believe that if something is really important, it also sets the same kind of modeling for your children, that going to school is really important and being in there and being at school is really important. And if you have a comment that you want to make to the board and you come and do that publicly, I think that sets a really strong modeling for the children of our district. And so I believe that having public comment at our meetings is really important. I do like the fact that if somebody physically can't get here, that they can send written comment. I read all of those. I follow up if I don't understand something that's in it. But I really, at this point, don't have an interest in virtual public comment. I really want to thank you for the work you did on the handbook. It is, from where we started to where this is very impressive. Thank you very much for taking all of the ideas and putting them into the document. I think it's well done. I think CSBA would be very impressed with this one. So I know it's coming back to us on April 11th, and there are no further comments. Oh, one more comment?
Yeah, if I may. I'd like to address Mr. Hernandez's comment, and I can see the concern about giving direction to the board of how we should vote. So I could be supportive of, our language that says are encouraged or typically or something, some sort of qualifier without giving direct instruction of the way that we should vote. But it's, anyway, that's a suggestion. And then one final comment, and I actually am very almost impartial on this topic, but it's just something I'm thinking of because we just had our LPAC PAC meeting and listened to a lot of the listening sessions and the feedback from the community. And as we talk about inclusion and equity and giving people opportunities where a public meeting might not be a setting where they're comfortable coming up and speaking. And I totally understand all of your comments, but just to have, maybe to put this out there for all of us to think about, that we don't always have to do things the way we've done them. There may be better options, and I just think that we should be open to them. And maybe if CSBA has some other, if they can share best practices, or if anyone is moving forward with tech and incorporating tech, we can think about how that would better serve our community. That's it.
I have a question of clarification. It says if a member was absent at the previous meeting, they will abstain from voting on the approval of that meeting's minutes. And I'm trying to understand, if I wasn't at the meeting, how could I know whether the minutes are correct or not?
Well, the way it is now, you don't have a choice. You will vote, you will abstain. And I'm saying that's fine because this is the way it is. But I'm saying that it may be important to you to address something on that, even though you were absent. I'm just bringing it to my colleagues' attention that the way it is now, you don't have a choice versus maybe putting in, as my colleague, Mr. Krefchick said, that it would be customary to vote no, but I'm just saying, if we want to take away you will not vote without, any option, or, I don't think it probably will happen ever, but the way it is now, we don't have a choice. That's all I'm saying.
Mr. Avey?
I think I just kind of caught on to what you were saying. So kind of in my own words of, maybe I missed a meeting, but a constituent comes to me and says the minutes are wrong. They're not reflecting what happened. We should be able to retain our right to opine on that. Is that kind of a circumstance you're talking about? Something like that? Okay. That would make sense. That makes sense to me.
Ms. Kravchuk?
I think for me, whereas you make good points, but what caught my attention is just the instruction of how to vote on something. And although I agree with what it says, thinking back to the Constitution and how things are, I think in practice, I am against giving a direction to people on how they should not order, vote. So that's the small issue that I have with it. I don't disagree with the instruction in this case, but I may in the future. So in general, I just don't want to be told how to vote.
Mr. Allen, do you feel that you have direction, or do you want to craft something and then bring it back again for discussion on the 11th, and then it will become
So as much as I love this document and working with this document, it will be back for action on the 11th.
Okay.
And I do believe I'm hearing some thinking that's kind of coalescing around some flexibility that allows you, but perhaps suggests what would be customary in that instance. So we will work to that effect. And Ms. Costa, I want to thank you for your comments about the work on this document, but I do have to share that with Ms. Cunningham and Ms. Simlick, who have been very instrumental in this work as well as the board, because your comments and your input into this process and into what you want to see in this document is what has actually guided and moved this process along. So thank you for that.
And thank you to everyone who helped with the document. This is really well done. This item is scheduled to come back for action on April 11th. And with that, we are at item I5, Curriculum and Standards and Facilities Committee Bylaw Revisions. And Mr. Allen?
Thank you, Vice President Costa. So we are again back with another item. Tonight, we are here for action on these two sets of bylaw revisions. I will highlight for you that as you look through these, the highlighted sections are the language we changed from our last meeting to this meeting, just to clarify that for you. So as you see those highlights, those are things that we went through and added just in the last 2 weeks. Among those highlights, you will see we have modified language that now allows meetings to occur outside the district when possible under the Brown Act. Those are very limited circumstances when that can occur, but there is a very narrow window where you can maneuver that. So if that criteria were to be met, these bylaws would allow for that to occur. Our previous language said can't meet outside the district boundaries. We do have language in here now that makes appointments subject to the ratification vote of the full board. That was an interest that I think we heard pretty much the entire board expressed to us last meeting. We also have language in here that aligns the committee members' terms to the academic year rather than the board election cycles. And just as a reminder, historically, those have been on those board election cycles to coincide for those appointments as new board members come on. But as we had those conversations with committee members, it started to really coalesce around it is more beneficial and less disruptive to the committees to be able to continue throughout the year. So we are making that recommendation. We do have language in here that allows for removal of a committee member by majority vote of the entire board for failure to meet the district's human dignity policy or volunteer code of conduct. There's also new language in here that adds protections for our existing our existing committee members. So that as we make these changes, it does specifically say that those folks get to remain on the committee and fill out their terms and do not have to leave the committee. And then we do also have language in here that provides a process should the committee chair and staff liaison disagree on agendizing an item, how that would get resolved. And then finally, providing specific language on the process for submitting reports to the board. So we had some clarity and process there as well. Happy to take any questions and feedback.
There are no visitor comment cards. Do any board members have any questions or comments? Ms. Viescas?
I just want to say thank you for, I think, doing a fantastic job of incorporating the feedback that we've shared over the last meeting. I think we've had 2 discussions on this at this point, over many meetings, not just the one. I think it looks great. I'm curious to hear from my colleagues if there's anything that's missing, but it certainly captured some of the things that were at the top of my list. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mr. Avey?
I'll just leave it at thank you.
I'd like to also say thank you. This is really 2 in a row, exceptional. Thank you very much. I think it captured everything that we've talked about at all of the meetings. And will this then be distributed to each of the committees, and will there be a presentation or?
Yes, so we did visit with them on the initial
Right.
revisions. We will return to those committees, let them know that we have approved these, walk them through just to make sure there's any clarifying questions that we need to have. And then, of course, our Community Advisory Committee for Special Education will be our next set of bylaws we'll be tackling.
Great. This is an action item. Is there a motion to approve proposed revisions to the Curriculum, Standards, and Facilities Committee's bylaws?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Avey and seconded by Ms. Kravchuk. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That was unanimous.
Can we
Thank
clap?
Well deserved.
I want to go.
We are at item J, board reports. Are there any board reports? Mr. Avey?
I made a few site visits. It was great. I really appreciated getting out into the community, meeting some of the teachers, administrators, and seeing some of the schools. I hope to get out to all the schools in my trustee area rather quickly now that I got going. But I do have to recognize I have been sorted at Northridge Elementary into House Tiaga. So Tiaga represent. And unfortunately, Miss Creason is not here because she too has been sorted. But I do want to go on the official record that House Tiaga is the best house. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr.
I just want to
Hernandez.
thank you. I just want to appreciate though, some of us were able to attend principal for the day. And which is always a great visit for us that are able to do that. I was able to go to Laurel Ruff and I just love those kids over there and to see them and how they interact with each other. And there's so many things that they could teach us about life because they're happy and they express love all the time. And that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Ms. Fiascos?
I actually did have one small thing. I hadn't planned on giving a board report, but I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge on an annual basis, the legislature acknowledges individuals, including Women of the Year. And I want to acknowledge that our colleague, Ms. Kravchuk, was acknowledged as the Assembly District 7 Woman of the Year. And I wanted to say congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if it's possible for that to go under the radar. I thought it was just gonna fly under there, but I appreciate it. Thank you. I do have a board report. I attended my first LCAP PAC and I was so surprised. I have 4 children of my own and I've been around kids all the time. I mean, 20+ years in Sunday school and various kids camps and everything. And I was actually very shocked at the assumptions that I have made and continue to make about kids. And hearing the feedback from the listening sessions from the students was so eye-opening. So much of the feedback was they want to be challenged. They want to learn about career opportunities earlier. Like right now, or I don't know, a lot of times and post-COVID too, we talk about how they're struggling. We talk about bullying. We talk about different things. You don't actually talk about the kids who want more work and want to be challenged. And it was really pleasant to see the good, and it was highlighted a lot. And it was just very, very pleasant. And in addition to that, there were 2 student members of the LCAP PAC, and they were so articulate and so darn smart. Serena was accepted to Stanford. She's on her way, which is amazing. And the other student, Jocelyn, was so well-spoken and just articulated her thoughts so well that it really just gives you, hope for the future and for society. It was really amazing to see that and interact with our parents. So really great, great meeting, very happy to be a part of that and looking forward to how all of those listening sessions and the feedback is incorporated into our LCAP plan.
We are at item K, future agenda. Do any board members wish to add any items to the future agenda? Roger?
I do. So now this is going to be, it's kind of a sad one, just in light of the events that happened in Tennessee this week. I do recall Trustee Miller actually asking for a report back from our safe schools regarding progress on our fencing and the locks for the schools. And I just, if I may, kind of move the timeline up about a little bit. I just like to hear back, and it could be an email or something to the board, but I'd love to hear some feedback on how we're doing.
Mr. Allen and I were just talking about that today. And so that is something that that information we will work on and present to the board.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
We do not need to return to closed session. We will adjourn this meeting in memory of Mr. Miller, our colleague. We are adjourned.